Welcome to another edition of CMO Perspectives with me, Matt York, the Global CRO of Foundry. And today I'm delighted to welcome Sandy Ono, EVP and Chief Marketing Officer at OpenText, who's had a very successful career. Sandy, a warm welcome.
Matt, so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, well, thank you for making the time. So let's dive straight in. As I say, you've been at OpenText for about 2 years, and one of the things that caught my attention is actually the work you've been doing and the growth in the marketing organization. So I'd love to just hear your thoughts on what's driven that and how you've actually got buy-in from the organization to invest more into the marketing department.
So when I arrived here, one of the first kind of discoveries as you have as a CMO is just the lay of the land and how the company could really benefit from the notion of brand to demand. There's always been demand generation and pipeline generation, but being able to kind of understand how do we want to use marketing to elevate OpenText and create this umbrella pull for the whole portfolio when the history and heritage of the company has been made up of many different companies coming together. So creating change, creating buy-in, showing versus just telling have been all really important parts of being able to elevate marketing here. And this notion of what we know, what marketers know very well as integrated marketing planning. What does the marketing mix mean? Were we back in physical events? Were we not? How has digital evolved? How has account development and outbound really evolved? So kind of having the company and the brand meet the timing of it is really kind of become the importance and the purpose of marketing here.
If you take a step back, so you came to OpenText, like a lot of tech companies, obviously, a history of acquisitions. I mean, that's the nature of the world that we both live in. What from your previous time at HPE or Deloitte do you think prepared you to take on the challenge at OpenText, and how do you think that's changed the way OpenText now sees marketing?
I think one of the things about starting in a career in consulting is you're never immune. You're pretty immune to change. Things are always changing, right? You're changing projects, you're changing clients, and you're having to move pretty fast. Working in tech, that's a double down. It's about how fast can you move at the rate of the market.
Yep.
And OpenText really has now embraced this notion of having marketing also move at that pace. And there's been two things that I've said I think about a lot, which is one is how do you keep at the pace of externally because we work and we work and sell in very competitive markets, and then two, how do you drive that internally? How do you actually introduce agile processes and actually change the way marketing works from kind of the more siloed approach by function to having a much more agile marketing engine, so you can go from concept to market in 6 weeks or less.
The only constant in the tech world is change. The hardest part, though, is people. How have you addressed those challenges? Because it is culture, right? And it is people that oftentimes forget all the technology that we buy and the planning we do. We have to bring the people along with us.
Yeah, it's such an important part. I've kind of approached it as I always do in all leadership, right? Sometimes you're leading from the front, sometimes you're leading from the middle, sometimes you're leading from the back. And leading from the front is galvanizing the team behind the singular vision of what marketing is and what marketing can be. And marketing, sometimes we're worried so much about the external messaging. You have to remember, you have to galvanize your team first before your external messaging can do that. And it has to come through authentically. When everybody actually understands the company strategy, then we can actually be really innate in the external marketing that we do. And leading from the back in terms of coaching, right? In terms of being able to spot the talented folks within the team who have the bright ideas, hold a spotlight to that, driving innovation. So it's not just agility, but it's marketing innovation, right? And it's not product innovation, it's marketing innovation. So I have to remind my teams a lot, which is like, we're obviously so in the middle of what product and sales is. We can absolutely be great partners in the value chain, but we have to have our own perspectives. And if we don't lead with our own point of view of how to best go to market, we will forever be the service organization known as marketing. Yeah. And we have to graduate from being a service organization to actually being a great influencer of what the go-to-market strategy should be.
Let's switch gears a little bit. I believe you've said that the demand is there. It's for us marketers to go and get it, right? And so your focus is more on demand capture, right, versus, let's say, demand generation. Can you just talk to us a little bit about that, how you see that difference and what that means to the organization?
You look at a regular report and you do your market sizing, and the total addressable market, or we all affectionately call the TAM, is good. It's great. It's billions of dollars. Yeah. But you live in a world where there's fragmentation amongst the competitors, lots of people in the landscape. So it's not like the need's not there and the purchasing isn't there. It's about how you can actually win mind share and the market share. The team has to be thinking about creating marketing that creates relevance, right? And to get the extension of your customers, which is just harder and harder every day. 2 is the actions we take around always on, right? Digital has come a long way in the last 10 years, just call it that. But this notion of having an engine that does the capturing always on, your digital motion has to do that for you. Because if you don't cast your net wide and be able to capture those hand raisers, I mean, we're all honest with ourselves as marketers, right? People aren't in the market when we decide to market to them. Yeah. They're in the market when they choose to be. So I always say demand capture, because you got to capture them. It's not just they're going to come running. You don't always just build it and they come. But you actually have to be quite there ready for them when they're in the buying cycle. Yeah. Right. And it's all about the relevance meeting the buying cycle. And then lastly, it's, I always go back to the notion of demand capture, because I urge my teams to think about marketing that creates a sense of urgency to engage. Because I think that's the trickiest part, right? We can always market the speeds and the feeds and the functions and the capabilities, but how do you create an urgency?
So you've mentioned brand to demand a couple of times. How do you view that relationship between brand and demand? And what sort of tools do you recommend for our viewers in terms of measuring the impact?
I think of it as one. I honestly think of it as, I have 9 business units that I serve, no less than 35 campaigns live in the market that are end-to-end. But I create them, and the look and the feel and the expression of the market is as one. Because that's the only way I can build the brand and have it meet the demand and not feel like 33 different campaigns against 20,000 different products. Yeah. If you create a framework of brand to demand in both how you plan and how you execute creatively, 1, allows you to go faster throughout the year. And 2, you can create the uniqueness of a product and a category while accruing up to the brand. And when you do that, your dollars go a lot farther. Yep. So I actually plan it all together. I get a lot more value out of kind of the attributes you have with the brand and seeing how that evolves. Because I think the measurements give you a dial, and it's only relevant when you put it yourself against the competitors. Yeah. And the qualities that are brand attributes become the pieces of research and the measurements I use the most, because it gives me the action plan of how I want to continue to evolve the narrative in order to lift the brand. You know that to fix brand perception isn't all within your department. So the hardest thing is actually to talk about brand with some quantifiable measure with all of my peers. Yeah. And to be able to take it away from foofy marketing to just something really grounded in, if we want this to be the position of our company and we want it to be authentically us, we have to deliver on these attributes. And these attributes take actions across all of us in order to lift the brand.
What sort of role do you play, or does a CMO play, in sort of product development and value-based design?
We're on the early ends of influencing product design. But one of the things that's really fun right now is, as you see in the market, everybody is rushing towards generative AI and what that means. And it's forcing us as a industry to move faster than I think we've ever moved, because the market's moving that fast. And when you're asked by the market to move fast, one of the key things that you have to really get keen on is what are the needs of the customers. When you go to market with a specific need, with a specific product, you're not actually engaging with the customers at their broader level in order to be able to decipher what the next needs are, right? What can you do with generative AI? What are the next use cases? Would you apply it to this? Would you apply it to that? And so until you can earn yourself the degrees of freedom to not just do product level, but solution and portfolio level marketing, and then to gather the customer feedback, I think it's going to be a fantastic journey that we continue to be on.
I think we're at one of those kind of cycles that we see in technology that are just, we're in very early days, obviously, but are just truly revolutionary, akin to the Industrial Revolution. How are you working with your teams in terms of experimenting with Gen AI? What's your approach? Is it kind of like tiger teams and small little experiments, or is it kind of top down? What's your approach?
AI is going to fundamentally change the way we work, and for the better, right? And in marketing, it really can help us reimagine work. Because we're starting to see tools that is going to change our workflow, right? Yeah. To use one of our own words on ourselves. And I've really just, empowered my teams to experiment. I think it starts with that. I'm having a kind of one person in each sub-department. So I have somebody in creative, somebody in digital, somebody in field marketing, somebody in product marketing, going to experiment. And I've asked them to come back with the tools they think are kind of neat, and see where we might want to go to scale. Creative, oh my gosh, so much fun. So we're doing our OpenText.ai initiative and our campaign launch. And I've tasked my team, everything in this campaign, we need to try it being AI generated as a starting point. Unless we're actually using it, then how are we going to use it as our own proof point? So both in the BOM that's created and the creative and the visuals, we're doing AI generated images. So super fun. It teaches us at the same time we're actually bringing a campaign to life. And we got to jump on the train and figure out how to best work with these tools, and where it's going to allow us to both drive better automation and better creativity, because our minds need to be freed up from the mundane to really where it can go next.
And it's such early days, but from what we all see already, it's just so exciting to be a part of this again. Okay, so last question, which is more of a personal question based on your successful career to date, and to share with other aspiring marketers and people who are maybe earlier in their journey. Who would you say has been give an example of a mentor for you, not necessarily a marketing mentor, that's had a real impact in your role as a marketer?
It's my own children. So I have a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
And
you're way too bubbly for those ages, Sandy. You're way
and it's a reminder of why marketing needs to be fun. And it's an inspiration every day to say, make it fun for your teams, make it fun for your customers to engage with your brand. And to be simple, so much of tech marketing is a lot of detail. Yeah. And can you say it simply in the way that my 9-year-old can understand what mommy does at work?
Kudos to you having this massive role. And being so energetic with two kids of that age, because it's a lot of hard work, as we all know. So as I wrap it up, here's some of the key themes I heard from you, and this has been fantastic, Sandy. I've really enjoyed this this session. So, immune to change, creating an agile marketing engine, authenticity to the team and to the market and customers. I loved your leaning from the front, the middle, and the back, and the different approaches that each of those stages have. Create that sense of urgency. Obviously, what you're doing with Gen AI, but keep it simple, keep it fun, but always be moving forward. So, thank you very much, Sandy Ono.
Thank you so much, Matt.